We welcome you to Media Day 2024 for the University of Rio Grande baseball team. I'm Randy Payton, the Sports Information Director here at Rio, joined by head coach Brad Warnemont, a couple of players in A.J. Thomas and Reed Schultz. We'll start with Coach Warnemont. I guess by the time this video is shown, you will have played a few games in this 2024 season, but as we record today, you're getting ready to get it underway, and it's always an exciting time of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we've been under some soggy weather here lately, so our guys are ready to get out and play and go south and put all their hard work into action. So we're excited.
26 and 28 last year, 14 and 13 in conference play. You got to play 4 games in the River States Conference Tournament. Obviously, it was an up and down year, but you guys, as tends to be the case, regardless of what kind of team you have, you were a tough out in the tournament.
Yeah, I think we want to play our best ball at the end of the year, and part of that is developing your team and developing your pitching staff and bullpen, and this year will be no different. We lost 6 pitchers to graduation, and one was fortunate enough to sign with the Angels, and Brady Showman, so we're extremely pleased and proud of him, and so now we'll be developing the bullpen throughout these early preseason games and hope that we've got it figured out as a staff once we go into conference play.
That was one of the things that I had listed here was the pitching situation. You guys last year, at times, you really didn't have problems scoring runs. Your issue was keeping the other team off the scoreboard.
Right, and that's always an issue is throwing strikes, commanding the strike zone, and keeping the other team off the board. But there's some pretty good teams out there, and the conference is going to be very strong this year. So it'll be a challenge, and we'll tee it up tomorrow.
Talking about pitching, we'll bring in Reed down here on the end. You, of course, were part of the staff last year, and like I said, you had a lot of success last year. But as a group, the ERA was pretty high, and that's something that if you guys are going to be successful this year, you've got to try to get that down lowered a little bit.
I totally agree. We have a lot of young pitchers on our staff that need to figure out how to pitch, and in the fall I've seen it come along. You know, first year you're like college baseball, but we need to get them there quicker.
You've been here a while in the mix. Do you kind of now take it upon yourself to, I don't know, to be the old guy or one of the old guys in the pitching staff and try to lead some of the new guys?
Oh, 100%. I've been fortunate enough to have Brady Shobin, Zach Kendall, some great pitchers here at Rio, and just kind of watching them and seeing how they did things the right way. And now that I'm the old dog, I could say I gotta show those young guys how to do it right.
Offensively, Coach, it's great to have the guy sitting to your right back in A.J. Thomas. Obviously, if you can get guys on base, he's got a pretty good propensity at getting them in.
Yes, and I think this year, I think that hopefully will be our strength is I think we have a chance to be very dynamic offensively, and the dynamics start with the gentleman to my right, setting the school home run record last year and doing what he did, and it's always a goal is to surround him with better hitters, so now they can't pitch around him to get to someone else. And I think our offensive lineup is going to be very solid. You can't replace a Clayton Sorrell, but we can put pieces and parts together, and hopefully we'll be able to score some runs to take pressure off the pitching staff. That's always a goal.
AJ, what do you do as an encore this year? I mean, obviously you set the bar pretty high last year.
It's not finished. I would like to break my own record, honestly, if I could. Last year, I actually came into the season coming off of a broken wrist, so being able to do that again. I mean, I think I'm 12, 13 away from the all-time record too. So. That's where my bar is set. Is I would like to break that record and continue keep going forward. But honestly, it's just at the end of the day, I want to win games. So that's where we're at right now. Is let's get some wins under our belt, and for my last year, let's do it.
I was going to say, going into your last year, do you take a different approach, knowing that this is it?
I've said this is it for the past 2-3 years. So
I think this is
this is my final year, and I think it's more so bittersweet. So I think more so I'm gonna take it in. You know, I'm gonna take it in. I'm trying not to press too much and just kind of just let the chips fall where they may, and go out there and trust myself and trust the process and do what I do.
Coach, those are familiar faces to your right, but I know going down through the roster, there are a lot of new ones on the roster this year. Can you kind of talk about some of the guys that maybe the folks ought to look for?
Well, we'll have an entirely new infield. I mean, starting behind the plate. You know, we've got some guys returning that got some needed playing time at the end of the fall last year and at the end of the spring, and Braden Gall behind the plate, but Luke Lindemood was a transfer from Georgetown, and I recruited Luke out of high school. He's a Minford boy. So, but Baker Fuentes will be in the infield. He's a Cumberland transfer. We also have Lake Curie Jimenez, which he'll be somewhere in the infield. Obviously, Alex Scular is returning.
Right.
So we have Weston Roop as a transfer as well, and he'll be in the mix probably as a two-way guy. And then we have Darwin Orlega. He's a transfer and should see some time at first base. So there's a lot of new faces. So, and I think part of that, our team chemistry is very good, and those guys are fitting into those roles. And some of those guys will also be on the mound for us as two-way guys. So much like what Clayton did. So in the outfield is probably where we return a lot of our experience with Darius Jordan coming back and AJ. Angel Cruz, and then we've got a couple new faces in Huascar Martinez, which we know that he'll have an immediate impact. So putting all those pieces of the puzzle together, and again, the biggest thing offensively is taking pressure off our pitching staff and playing an aggressive brand of baseball is what we want to do. So put some runs on the board.
I guess the last question I got for you, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, the River States Conference, slowly, I think, getting some well-deserved recognition nationally, the success that IU Southeast has had in the past and Point Park has had. Kind of talk about what to expect out of the conference this year.
Well, it's going to be very competitive. I mean, you know, IU Southeast has almost their entire pitching staff back, and they were very young last year in the field. Point Park has 7 of their 9 starters back, and they're replacing a lot of their pitching staff. So, but still, I mean, they went into the national tournament and really lit up the scoreboard. So, I mean, they're always going to be a strong club. You got IU Kokomo. Oakland City is always a sound club. They're a 30-win-plus club. West Virginia Tech has some key transfers, and you know, Lawrence is a friend of mine, and if you don't hear much, they're going to be good. And I think he's very optimistic about his season. And then, you know, you've got the middle tier is getting stronger as well. Ohio Christian, you know, snuck one away from us last year. So, I mean, they're developing the program, and this will be their last year in. And Alice Lloyd, this will be their last year competing. And well, they have one more year, I believe, in the league. So
Point Park's last year.
Yeah, Point Park's last year. So it's going to be competitive top to bottom. You got to show up day in, day out. And, you know, Brescia we open up with is one of my former assistants. So John has cleaned house, and who knows what he'll have, but we'll find out shortly here as we tee it up and go to work. So Midway's always your defending conference champion. I mean, I can't forget about them. They're going to be extremely strong. Right. They recruited their pitching depth, and you know, they have a great deal back as well. So I mean, it's going to be very, very competitive. So I don't want to forget anyone. I don't want a bullseye on my back here, but the league is getting better top to bottom, and these guys beside me, I'll tell you the same thing, is you got to show up week in, week out to win a series, and it'll be very competitive.
Guys, before we close, I'll give each of you the opportunity to talk about the conference as well.
Well, I mean, obviously the conference is strong. Point Park can really hit the ball, and they always have a few stud pitchers, but Kokomo, their staff is really good. Obviously,
they always struggle.
Yeah, we always struggle for some reason, but I think we have a good enough team to really compete for the conference championship. I really believe that. We got a strong staff, and when you got this guy right here in the middle of your lineup, you always got a chance.
I have to agree. the conference is really strong, and it seems like they just got stronger. Southeast was really good last year. Midway was really good last year. Kokomo was really good last year. So Point Park was really good. So having all those teams come back with them still just rebuilding more and more and more and adding on top with us losing a lot. We had a lot of seniors leave last year. So with us kind of in a rebuild stage, but bringing in a lot of guys in this year, I like our chances still. I still like our chances, and I think we'll still have a good shot at doing something great this year, you know?
Well, there you go. That's the word on the University of Rio Grande for the 2024 baseball season here on River States Conference Media Day.